Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Hello, good evening, good afternoon, welcome, welcome. Welcome back to another stream of Plane Shift. Let's go, boys. Another stream. Oh, yes. Why not? Another stream. I don't know, maybe one day I will stop, but for now, I'm doing it. For now, I'm doing it. I don't know if it will last forever, but I'm doing it. So we are working on this screen, and in particular, I think we have a good sense of, I mean, we have a good working version of the left side, right? We actually don't have a calculation for citizens. We don't have a calculation for that. I mean, we could do it kind of easily. I mean, we could start from a certain number, which is actually the base number. And yeah, I think each city should have a base number and of citizens, and then the upgrades are kind of upgrading the city, right? So that I think that's the idea. So basically, this citizen number should never change, right? Should never be written again. Should just be calculated differently. And I think also the happiness may be just calculated based on the infrastructure and the other stuff that is available. So I think you should start like from a 0.5 and or a 0.6. I don't know, a city is, you know, fairly happy by default. And or a 0.5. Let's say a 0.5. So we have two functions actually that are calculating the stuff that we didn't really implement, right? Yeah, calculate happiness, calculate citizens, right? In theory, I think we can take the current citizens and then just, so we can do something like one city citizens, right? Plus so we can start from here. I think we can start from here, and then I think we can do a very simple, for now we can do a simple calculation. We can do a simple calculation. Hello Hula, good evening. You forgot again. I started like 30 seconds ago. So I'm still in the introduction, you know? I'm still in the introduction. And yeah, you don't want to see my beautiful face? My beautiful face with my beautiful fur? You don't want to see it? So, do you think that some of the tiers are adding more population or not? More population than others, or all the tiers are adding the same population? Like infrastructure, like hospitality is adding happiness, fate is adding happiness, education is adding happiness, while infrastructure, crafting, and agriculture is adding citizens. Kind of makes sense, actually, now that I think about it. We can do it this way, maybe. We can do it this way. So we do, see, if we do 3 and 3, right? If we do 3 and 3. Yeah, so it would be nice to actually swap education and agriculture in the UI, but so that the 3 that are on citizens are below citizens, and the 3 that are below happiness are below happiness, right? This kind of makes sense. Yes, I think I'm gonna do this right now. I think it's not a bad idea. And so we have 9 levels, right? 9 levels. We have 9 levels. Okay, let me switch the thingy. So do we want to go over 100%? Maybe. Like if they are ecstatic, right? They are like, wow. They are like super happy. They are like super happy. Can I move it easily or not? Yeah, I should be able to move it easily, yes. No. Well, there are some, yeah, because this phrase is longer, so we had a bit of an adjustment. I don't remember exactly how we did that. I don't know if we did it with the padding or we did it just with the good question. Let me see. Sides box. Let's see. Sides box. Here we have a 10 to the left and 10 to the right. To the left and 10 to the right. And then I think what I did, I just added spaces, right, to the text. I think this is what I did. Yeah, exactly. I just added spaces, while here is the opposite. So here we have 0 left. We have 0 left, and we have way less spaces. Okay. Now, why the hell this is now going over? Yeah, good question. Why did this going over the image now? I don't know. Because the sides box is bigger. Education. Yeah, 325. Yeah, exactly. 325. Okay. Okay, I think like this is more correct. Or 330. Okay. Good. So let's see. Let's say that these 3 are influencing citizens and these 3 are influencing happiness, right? I think they make, actually they make sense now that I think about it. So we have 9 levels. I think we can start. I think we can add like how many? 100 citizens? No, that's a lot. 100 citizens is a lot. I think it should be a percentage, by the way, of the base city. So if it's 500 as a default, I want what? 10% per level, so the maximum becomes double. Yeah, let's say 10% per level. So I will do something like total tiers, and I will take like one city infrastructure plus one city crafting plus one city agriculture, right? And then I will do the same for the happiness tiers. And the happiness tiers are hospitality, faith, and education, right? Right? And then we can decide a percentage. I don't know how much is that, but I think it should be a percentage of additional citizens. Should be something like total citizen multiplied by 10% of 0.1 of citizens. So I multiply. So I what? So for example, 500 multiplied by 0.1, so 50, multiplied by 9, so it's 900, is what? Is 450. Yeah. So the maximum total will be 950 for this particular city. Yeah, I think it makes sense. The only problem is that it is an integer, and so it will get truncated, but I think it's fine, because even if it's truncated, it will be truncated by one citizen, so I think it's fine. So yeah, okay. So what we will return? We will return the current citizens, right? Plus the additional citizens, right? So this will be the calculation. And I think we will do exactly the same, right? Here. The current happiness is happiness. And this should all be a float though, because this is a float, yeah. And this will be this plus this plus this, and the additional happiness will be calculated as total tiers multiplied by... Now I don't know if I want to do the same, because if I do the same, is 9 levels will become double. Yeah, but I think pretty much, why not? I think it's pretty much the same. So it becomes pretty much, with 9 levels it becomes nearly double, right? So if you're at 0.5, you go, so maybe we can go 0.12, so it becomes 100 as maximum, right? So if I do 0.5. Wait. No. That is different though. Because it is a percentage, right? So I don't think I should take the current percentage. Well, yeah, I don't think I should take the current percentage. So if we have maximum, we have 9, right? So 9. So if I say 9 multiplied by 0.12 is 1, no? It's 100. Oh no, it's 108. What? 9 multiplied by 0. What do you mean, programmer? Standard. 9 multiplied by 0.12 is 108. No. Okay. So it would never be 1. No. Okay, we can add 0.1. We can add 0.1. Or we can also decide to go above, right? We can go above 100%, but I think would make sense that it's 100%. Well, I think it would be nice if it goes to 110%, so that they are super happy, right? They are super happy. I don't know what this formula should be actually. By the way, I think it should be half of that, right? Because we want to add 0.5, which is the base, right? We want to return this, so we can add 0.1. Because even if you do this, it will still be uneven, right? Because it's 9. Because it's 9. 0.5 divided by 9. Ah no, it's 4.5 actually. Really? No, multiplied by 9. No, divided by 9. Is 0.0555. You see, so that is the problem. I can seal it. Yeah, maybe we can seal it so we solve the problem. So if I do this multiplied by 0.55 and then I seal it to the next. Well, the problem is that sealing it. Yeah, I can seal it. I think it's a good idea. Well, no, I want no. Wait, I don't want to seal it. I want to round it to the decimal, to the second to the first decimal, right? No, to the second. I want to round it to the second decimal. Yeah. How do I round it to the second decimal? I just multiply by 100 and then I cut it off and then I divide it by 100 again. Probably. So the rounded happiness is the total is this multiplied by 100 and rounded and then divided by 100 again. So if I take, let me see if this works. So if I take 0. Let's say that I take 8, right? So I'll do 7, which is a weird number. 7 multiplied by 0.055, it will become 0.385, right? Then I multiply this by 100, right? I rounded, so potentially becomes 38, right? And then when it's 38, I divide it again by 100. And so it's again my 0.38. So I cut it off at the second decimal, right? And then this will be added to 0.5, which becomes 0.88. Yeah, I think it's correct. I think it's good. I think it's good. Okay, so we have the citizens and the happiness calculated. I mean, it's a bit of a stupid way, but I think it's okay. I think it's okay. Nice. I like this idea of connecting this 3 to happiness and this 3 to citizens, because actually we may in the future have some effect on that, right? I don't know yet what, but we may connect it to something, which is good. Now, there was something that bothers me a bit the other day while we were testing, right? Yesterday when we were testing, we have seen that for some reason this was back to 0. So I think we should do some test and see what happens, right? Let me see what we have in the database at the moment. So we have, because every ranking, right? Every ranking that is greater than 2, no, that is greater than 1, so from 2 up, right? Is showing the consumption of the previous tier, right? But anyway, it should consume also the tier 1, right? Lower all consumption value as needed. Consume resources. Yes. So the current tier, if it's not reached, never decays, right? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Music too loud. Okay. Let's do just some tests to understand what is going on, because I want to understand better if this thing actually works or not. We are consuming at the moment 10% every, yeah, that's too slow though, every 3 minutes. Every 3 minutes. I think if we want to test it, we have to make that way faster. So we have to do like 10% every 20 seconds. Or even 10 seconds, right? If you want just us to test the consumption. But, okay, let me check 1 second. City info, right? What do we have here? We have an infrastructure of 2. We have an infrastructure of 2, an hospitality of 1, okay, 2, 3, and 0, and 0. Okay, so in theory this 3 should decay automatically, right? Should decay automatically. Okay, let's test the decay, right? Let's test the decay. Let's make the decay fast. And let's make the decay 10% every 10 seconds, right? Which is very fast, but at least we can test it a bit. Basically, what we want is that in this situation, all these numbers become 0 after some time, right? I mean, fairly quickly, because it's 10% every 10 seconds, right? So it's in 1 minute and 20. No, in 1 minute and 40. Yeah. In 1 minute and 40 seconds, we lose 1 rank for each, right? Because all of them are decaying together. Yes. All of them are decaying together, which is a bit an annoyance, but yeah, maybe that's a bit too much. Well, I mean, I will obviously slow it down, but if you think that you have your city fully boosted and there are 6, there are 6 things that are decaying at the same time, wow. That's annoying. Should they decay 1 at a time randomly? Probably. I think it would probably be better to choose one of the category to consume randomly, because having all 6 going down together seems really a lot. Yeah. I mean, we can decide the speed, but also logically, right? Or maybe 2 at the same time. I don't know. We need to think about that. But I think that all at the same time sounds a bit brutal in terms of decay. I don't think that the city is using all the resources at the same time. Pretty much. This is what I'm thinking. Anyway, that's a variable we can play with in terms of balancing, right? We can use that as a balancing factor. By the way, I see that Raoni completely disappeared. Where is gone? Do I have the decay on... No, I don't have it on the server printed, I guess. But we can easily see it, because we can see it in the city, right? And we can click on stuff. If they don't have a... but all the categories need to have a prerequisite, though. They need to have materials, no? Yeah, I think so. I think we need... I think if we don't have the data, they may not decay properly. I can put it quickly, it can just be a single material, right? But let's see what happens. At the moment, in theory, they are all decaying at the same time. Yeah, like for example here, right? You have tier 3 progress 0% and consumption of tier 2 material, which is empty. And this is something that I don't understand, right? Why? Okay, here is not present because we don't have a material description. But why the 2 is not working? That's kind of strange, huh? Okay, let me see what happens here, because anyway, every 10 seconds, so 2, 1, 2, 3. 2, 1, 2, 3, and the moment is the same. Seems there is something... I mean, it's already weird that this is not full, right? But this starts empty. I don't understand why it starts empty. It's a bit strange that it starts empty. But yeah, I think that's the problem. The problem is that it starts empty. It should not start empty. So probably they are not going down at all. Yeah, they're not going down. They are not going down. It starts empty. The previous tier. The previous tier starts empty. Because when I load. Okay, I think I understand what I think I understand what happens. Because if I put it manually, right? If I do the give manually, if I do the give manually, I am checking the tier change, and in the tier change I execute the tier change, and in the execute tier change I calculate no I don't. Okay, so when is the city tick actually getting created? Okay, it's getting created at the beginning, so this one actually happens for sure. And then there is another one. Yeah, when you trigger, it triggers again. Okay, so in theory, this tick, this tick is always present. This tick is always present, but we don't see any of these numbers changing, right? We don't see any of these numbers changing. Okay, let me understand why. Check all the consumption entry. We assume the new entry is created as soon as we reach a tier. We assume a new entry is created as soon as we reach a tier. Unless it's server startup, because a server startup... yeah, that's why. We don't create consumption entries for... Yeah, that's the problem. We don't create consumption entries. Well, actually, load city resource consumption. Resource consume. No, actually we do. One resource. Resource consumed by city. City consume status. Because we have another table that I completely forgot about. Is the city consume status. Okay, so it's only reading this pretty much. City ID. Tier category 1 and tier category 0. Yeah, the problem is that if you have the current tier, now the point is that I don't want to rely on an entry to actually decay if the city. So I understand that here we are missing, right? Here we are missing the line, but the fact that we are missing the line should not prevent anyway the server to understand that it needs to decay, right? It needs to decay anyway. So let's say that the city consumption status is fine, right? This one is fine as long as, and by the way, there should be maximum 1 by CT. Percent. So it's 1 entry by CT. No, I think, okay. I think we need to initialize this thing. So if the percent, yeah, exactly. We need to initialize it, boys. We need to initialize it. We need to initialize it. So this thing, this is why that's 0, because it's never initialized properly when the server starts. So here we should analyze, and assuming that load city results consumption obviously happens after loading cities, right? Yeah, it does. So we need to compare we need to compare what? So I basically need to look at the current tiers in the city and see if my percentage is 0. So for any percentage that is actually 0, for any percentage, because okay, I can reassess here, or I can do it when we do the consume, right? Because when we do the consume, I could say, oh, the consume percent is 0, right? The consume percent is 0. So go and check if my city has a tier different than 0, and if it does, then start the new consumption, right? Yes, I think we can do it here, actually. I think we can do it here, which is probably cleaner than doing it at the start, because we do it when we consume, right? We say if the percentage is 0, if the percentage is 0, if the percentage is 0, we have to check we check infrastructure. So we check the current category and we say if city infrastructure is greater than 0, then we have to do something, right? You can probably put it here, right? else if one city infrastructure is greater than 0 and the percentage is 0, then we need to start to decay. Then we need to start to decay that tier. Or we need to start to decay the previous tier. We need to start to decay. Well, I'm a bit confused of what happens if you are at tier 1, right? What happens if you are at tier 1? It means that you achieved so the city starts at tier 0, and tier 0 doesn't really exist, but I mean it exists, yes, but I mean it doesn't require any resources, right? So here in theory there is a tier 0, right? There is a tier 0. That's a 0 actually, but anyway. So it starts with a tier 0. I put resources, and then I become tier 1, right? And then I become tier 1. And I get my, so in reality, you know, that is kind of wrong. That is kind of wrong, right? Because tier 1, you reach tier 1 here, and you reach tier 2 at the end, right? Not at the beginning. So you reach you reach the tier at the end. So you are tier 0. You start here, tier 0, right? Well, let's say here, tier 0, but anyway. You are at tier 0, then you add, and then you become tier 1, and here you get your bonus for tier 1, right? And then you are tier 1. While you are tier 1, the tier 0 material should decay. Just a bit weird that it says tier 0 material decaying, but pretty much that's what it should be. Or you can just say consumption of tier, because like in this case, right, you have tier 3, you have tier 3 progress, so you are working on this, and while you are working on this, your tier 2 is decaying. Your tier 2 is decaying, yes, that's correct. And your tier 3 doesn't decay. Because it's not achieved. Yeah, exactly. So people are not using it. Correct. So when you are at tier 2, you are decaying tier 1. Yes. And when you are in tier 1, what do? Nothing. No, that's broken logic. When you are what? When you are in tier 1, guys, I'm messing up with this logic. When you are working on tier 1. Yeah, wait. When you are working on tier 1, so you are not tier 1 yet. Yeah, exactly. When you are working on tier 1, nothing decays. When you are working on tier 2, tier 1 decays. When you are working on tier 3, tier 2 decays. Exactly. This is the way I have to see it. So when you are working on tier 1, you are effectively tier 0. You are effectively tier 0. and we are and when you are working on tier 1, right? When you are working on tier 1, you are tier 0. So if infrastructure is actually 1, it means that you are working on tier 2 already. And so tier 1 can decay. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So infrastructure greater than 0 actually means that you achieved tier 1 and you are working on tier 2, and tier 1 can decay. Okay, now I think it makes sense. So we are at tier 1, working on tier 2. Tier 1 can decay. Yeah, so that's the idea. Exactly, because if 1 is achieved, you're automatically working on the next. So tier 1 can decay. So if the percentage is 0, but you are on tier 1, I want to add a new consume by city. The problem is, do I do it before starting the consumption? Yeah, I cannot do it during the consumption, because if I do it during this 4, right, it is an array, so I'm going to mess up everything. Well, actually it's a T-map, but I will have to add a new element to the T-map, yes. No, this is not a T-map. This is what? Resource consumed by seed. Yeah, this is a T-map. So I will have to add a new element in my T-map. No, I think it's okay. But sorry, why I assume that this is always valid? Because this may be empty, huh? No? Why did this not crashing? Why did this not crashing? It should crash like a boss, because resource consumed by city, we said that we loaded at the beginning, right? We do the add here in the loading, and we do it only if there is something in the database. Correct? Yes. So I don't understand how it doesn't crash. That is very strange. Because in the database we only have one line for consume status. Because we don't have any other city defined. No, we have city number 2, I think, defined. But everything is at 0. That's why. That is why it doesn't crash. So we need a consume status. We need at least one consume status by city. Otherwise, yeah, but also this is a bit of a stupid assumption, right? If it's not there, we should create it. I don't want you not to rely on the data too much. I think the server should just create the data where it's missing. I'm just thinking, where should we create this data? Should we create it anyway? Yeah, I think so. I think the answer is yes. I think I want to change this thing. I want to make it more robust. Basically, I want to cycle on all the cities that we have defined. And if I find a consumption row, then all good, I use it. But if I don't find it, I'm going to create one. And maybe this could be a loop even before this, right? Or we can do it when we load the city, but I think it's cleaner if we do it here. Yeah, let's do that. So ensure every city defined as a consumption and a consumption entry, right? A consumption entry. So we will cycle on cities. Oh fuck. Okay. Why is it always so annoying? Okay, so this is my city, right? This is my city. This is my city. So for each city, I want to check what. So I have to do another query just for the city. That's pretty bad, though. That's pretty bad. I mean, all this is at loading, right? So is one time when the server starts, so we don't care. But in theory, it would be nice if I should avoid. I mean, avoiding having one query by city all the time, but just querying all of this, putting an array, and then using it as needed, so we don't have to query 20 times, right? The problem is. Well, let's say that we don't need a consumption entry if the city has 0 ranks, 0 tiers, right? Correct. Yeah. Every city with at least 1 tier. Exactly. So So we just have a tiers total, right? In English. English is more get total tiers. Yeah, exactly. So we have a get total tiers, right? And so I would say, if this is greater than 0, I need an entry. No matter what, I need an entry, right? I need an entry. And I need an entry. Yeah, it's a bit annoying to do a select for every city, right? Or we preload this data and then we check it. In theory, I could do this query, right? I could do this query before, and then I check it here, and then but then I have to redo it anyway, right? So what if I do this? Load initial city resource consumption, right? So this will be a result initial, and it's doing that. And then when I have that, so that here I only for loop on that, right? I only for loop on that. Because result set at the end is a class, but as what he has he has an array, no? Current row. Oh no, he has this mess of if you get, it moves to the next row. I mean, can I just use it or no? Well, we have a current row, right? I mean, we access it like an array, right? We access it like an array. So there is this operator, right? There is this operator, exactly. So is yeah, should be fine. I think it's kind of fine. Yeah, not fully convinced, but fine. Yeah, we have to use the operator. So basically, we can search inside that result, right? This is my idea, right? So we can search. Inside this result. Right? If we find city ID. And if we find it, no problem, right? We only need to search one, right? So so if we find So if entry is not found, right? If entry is not found, then we are just going to do an insert, right? A very simple insert. And these inserts will be, the insert will be insert into city consume status, and then we will insert what? We will insert the city ID. I mean, we will insert whatever, all this mess, right? You know that I'm thinking to remove this tier cap because actually it makes no sense. You know why it doesn't make any sense? Because we are actually consuming always the previous one, so we know exactly what we are consuming. So I think that this tier cat is completely useless. I think I may regret what I'm doing, but but we always know what we are consuming, because if we are at rank 1, we are consuming 1. We are always consuming the current tier, right? So pretty much, right? We don't consume previous tier, we don't consume multiple previous tiers. So it should always be 1 actually. I may regret what I'm doing, but in theory, maybe let me do this just in case, so that I don't have to put it back, right? For whatever reason I have to put it back. How do I comment something? Control Alt. Okay. Oh, nice. It feels very well. Also, it feels correct. I don't know why. It feels good when you press it. It feels is the one to press. Okay, I think all of this is useless. Okay, so we will keep only the percent, right? We will keep only the percent, and which I think is a better idea. And this is a bit of a rework, but it's fine. You know, sometimes rework is needed. So we want. Yeah, we want to insert the city ID and then the percentages, right? And the percentages are 6 floating numbers, right? And the values are one city ID and then one city infrastructure, one city. No. Wait a second. Good question. And then for all the tiers that are greater than 1, we have to insert a number. No, greater than 0, we have to insert 1, right? Yes, exactly. So we can say, I mean, it's a bit verbose, but we can say if city infrastructure is greater than 0, then insert 1, otherwise insert 0, right? So pretty much that is the thing. I mean, it's a bit stupid to read, but this is pretty much what it is. So we have to do we have to do them in the right sequence though, huh? Because otherwise it becomes a mess. Otherwise becomes a mess. Infrastructure, hospitality. Yeah. Crafting. And we have to use the sequence that we have now. I mean, the sequence that we have: infrastructure, hospitality, crafting, fate, education. Fate, education, agriculture. Because the fact that we changed the sequence in the UI doesn't make any difference here. Okay. Oh, come on. Do you want 1.0? Are you so annoying? Do you want 1.0 and 0.0? Jesus. Yes, he wants. Yes, it does. Okay, fine. Okay. Yeah, so basically if the level is greater than 0, we start the decay. Okay, this is very good. This is very good. So if we have a city that is defined and it doesn't have... Now, you may say, oh, the current consume is wrong. True. Well, if the current consume is wrong, boys, I don't know what to say, right? Because yeah, there could be an entry. There could be an entry that is the city consume, that is all 0, and is obviously like now, right? Like now we have this, and it's all 0, and is obviously wrong. So we delete them all, but we cannot delete them all because. So we should basically start without anything here. Yes, we should start with an empty table and then the system will manage, right? Yeah, so basically now for every city, we will see this thing getting created. And then after it's created, we load the city resource updated consumption, right? Updated based on this. And now we can do this without any problem because now we know that we have all the entries. Right? Okay, I think we fixed a very fundamental problem that was in the code that I didn't realize it was there. So now we will have at server startup always the right consumption and all the consumption entry properly created. Now, when we move from one tier to the other tier, that is what I have to understand, right? When we do the execute tier change, we expect the city info to be no, but wait a second. When we execute the tier change, how do we what? Check tier change. Huh? We don't do it. When we do the tier change, we don't start the consumption of the previous tier. I don't see it, Atle. I don't see it in the code. I see this, calculate citizen, calculate happiness. I see the update of the city info, but I don't see the update of the consumption, right? Why? Why? Because we never did it. Because we never did it, I think. Because I think we never did it. We assume a new entry is created as soon as we reach a tier, but unfortunately it's not the case, my friend. Because the only place where we add is the one that we did now, which is at loading, right? So we need a function to actually add the well, we can do it when we do the execute tier. We can do it when we do the execute tier change. I think so. So or we do it here, or we do it inside this function. To me, we can also do it here. Create a consumption entry. Well, actually, we update the consumption entry for this category, right? Because actually the consumption entry is already there, because we forced it by city. But we need to be sure that we add a new one, right? So I have to do what? I have to find my entry with my city ID, and this will be my consumption entry. Right, that we find, and there is the consumption entry that we find, and on this one we just have to set the percentage to 1 to the tier that we have just achieved. Now you may say, oh, this fucks up everything, because in reality that percentage was 0.9 and was counting the previous. True, very true, very true, but I would say that we don't care. Do we care? So the scenario is the following, right? The scenario is the following. I have achieved my tier. So I have achieved my tier 1. And let me do it like this, the same, because that is actually meaningful now. So I have achieved my tier 1 and I'm inside tier 2, right? I'm half of tier 2. And as we know, when we are half of tier 2, so let's say that actually this part is empty, right? This part is empty. This part is empty, right? So I'm working on tier 2. We know that when I'm working on tier 2, tier 1 is actually decaying. So tier 1 at the moment, the decay of tier 1 is, for example, like that, right? Is like that. So what we are saying is that when we complete tier 2, so this move, right? I feel the rest of the bar, right? I feel the rest of the bar and I go to tier 3. We are resetting also tier 1. Which, you know, it is obviously a simplification of the system, because if we really want to do it correctly, right? If we really want to do it correctly, you should wait the you should keep the consumption of tier 1, right? You should keep the consumption of tier 1 so that when tier 2 start to decay, so this can be exploited, right? This can be exploited because you can wait tier 1 to nearly fully expire, so you can reach tier 2 90%. Yeah, exactly. It can be exploited pretty bad. You can reach tier 2 90%, and then wait that your tier 1 is nearly done, right? You are about to lose it. You are about to lose it. And boom, you fill the materials for tier 2, and so basically you also refill tier 1, which is actually pretty bad now that I think about it. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Yeah, it is. It is bad. It is bad. It is bad. And also the opposite is true. That if you lose tier, yeah, the other thing is, right, the other thing is the other thing is, this is another scenario, right? It's a completely different scenario. But you are working on tier 3. No, this cannot happen because we only decay only one tier at a time, right? So we don't decay tier 1 while we are in tier 3. No, we don't. We only decay tier 2. We only decay tier 2, yeah. So in tier is input. No, because there was the case in the previous reasoning when we were decaying all the tiers at the same time, that tier 1 was going to 0, and so you had to freeze. We said something like, oh, I have to freeze the tier 3 progress because I lost the tier 1, but I think this is never gonna happen, right? But this one is pretty bad actually. This thing that I described here is pretty bad because it can be abused, right? Basically, you are regaining a full tier by weighting the 90% and the 10%, right? And it's pretty bad. I think it's pretty bad. It's very bad. I don't want it. I don't want it. The problem is that I mean, or we make tier 2 decay, right? But I think it's pretty stupid, right? Because you are like accumulating materials for something, and people are already using those materials. I think it makes no sense, right? I think it makes no sense. Like you want to create all new paved roads, right, in the city, and you're accumulating the materials, and someone before the work start, you know, they are already consuming that, so it doesn't make any sense. So the idea is that you accumulate the materials, and then when you reach enough, the work starts, right? Hello, Fanner. Hey. So, but this creates a very bad problem, right? This creates a very bad problem. Because when I switch, okay, so let's analyze it again. So when I switch from tier 2 to tier 3, and this thing is at 10%, right? This thing is at 10%. Then what happens? Tier 2 should start to decay, and tier 1 stays where it is, right? Tier 2 starts to decay, and tier 3 stays where it is. No, yes, then there is this situation. Wait, there is this situation, because the situation is that I'm in middle of tier 3, and tier 2 decays, and tier 2 arrives to 0. Yeah, there is this situation. If tier 2 fully decays, but I have materials hosted here, right? I have material hosted here. Then what happens? Then I lose the bonus for tier 2. I lose the bonus for tier 2. And I lose the bonus for tier 2. Yes, because I lose it at the left of the bar, right? But I still keep tier 1. And tier 1 starts to decay. And I have to keep the materials. I have to keep the materials for tier 3. But it's fine, because the material for tier 3, I don't delete them. I delete them only when I upgrade. I don't delete when I downgrade, right? Hopefully. Execute tier change. If he's up, yeah, if he's up, I set the storage to 0. But if he's not up, I don't delete the materials, right? Exactly. We just downgrade, but we don't delete the material. So the material on tier 3 will stay. Now the problem is that, okay, so the materials are not a problem because the materials are kept. By the way, tier 2 materials were already deleted, right? Because they were deleted when we upgraded. So materials are good. Materials are flowing correctly. What is not flowing correctly is the percentage of consumption of the previous tier. The percentage of, yeah, exactly, because we don't keep the consumption by tier, which is exactly what I deleted half an hour ago, like, or 15 minutes ago. And I said I may regret it, right? This is the case where I may regret it because the only problem is that it's fairly complex, right? If I need to keep the percentage of the previous tier, right? How the hell do we keep it? Yeah, basically I have to keep it like this. That's a bit annoying though. It's a bit annoying. But I think it's the only solution. Because basically here I need two numbers. Yeah, I need two numbers. I need a tier 1, right? At the same time, I will have tier 1 percent of consumption 0.1, and I will have tier 2 percent of consumption, for example, 1. And I will be in tier 3, right? I will be in tier 3. I will be working on tier 3. So I need to keep these two numbers so that when I'm at tier 3, this one starts to go down, and which is the current achieved tier, exactly, and this number stays. So if I consume fully tier 2, then I restart from 0.1 and my tier 1 goes to 0. Yeah, exactly. No, I think the original design was the correct one, which was this one. Which was to keep the consumption status by tier. While for simplification I said, fuck it, I don't need it, I just keep it by... The only problem is, how do we manage all those deletion and addition to the database? Well, it's only on tier change, right? Every time you change a tier, you need to reset the percentage. So you need to reset the materials and the consumption status. Yeah. Okay. We have to redo everything. Well, no, not everything, but we have to redo quite a bit. Well, not quite. I mean, we have to redo like 2 or 3 hours. I don't know, of stuff. So this consume status cannot be done this way. It has to be done by tier. Also, I need it by tier and by category. So it's actually... Yeah, all this is fucked. No, we have to... Okay, fine. Fine. We will redo it. We will redo it. I think it's the only way. I think it's the only way. So this will be... this will be consumption, and this will be tier, right? I cannot call it percent because I think percent is a reserved keyword, right? So I think percent is not the best name. No. Oh fuck, also hospitality is fucked. No. Okay, yeah, so this table is GG, boys. This table is GG, completely GG, completely GG, completely GG. The original design was great. I don't know why I decided to change it, but I did. I absolutely did. I absolutely did. Okay. So the logic is completely different now. So the loading is completely different. The loading is completely different. So at this point, do we want to do the same reasoning of if I have a city and that city as a consumption, I want to create a consumption record? Is that still a thing or no? No, I have to do it completely different. Jesus Christ. Jesus. I have to do it completely different. Ay. Redoing everything is annoying, but it's fine. I mean everything. It's just this part. There's two functions pretty much, but the logic is completely different. So the question is, do we want to ensure that every city has at least one tier as a consumption entry? Yes, but in a different way now. But yes, I think we want. I think we want. I assume we want. I assume we want, but I'm not completely convinced. But fine. Oh fuck! Wait a sec. Oh my god. Category. Yeah, absolutely. Category. Category. Yeah. 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 Yep. Yep. No, because for the same category, you can have two tiers, right? What? For the same category, yeah, exactly. For the same category, you can have two tiers. Yep. So it's not even city ID. We don't have a primary key on this table because it's many to many, right? So I mean I can have a seat. There is no primary. There is no primary key on this table. I don't like it too much. But I guess it is what it is. I guess. I guess. Oh my god, this thing settled us back a bit, but fine. Set us back a bit, boys. But it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We can live through this. We can live through this. So what I have to check, right, is that the city category is the city category is equal to 1, meaning infrastructure, right? So if I find an infrastructure entry, so I have to find the entry for the city, for the category, and for the tier, right? And for the tier, because if my city is at least for the current tier, is it reasonable to do it this way, or should I do it later? No, I think it's reasonable. I think it's reasonable. So I have every city should have at least one consumption entry for the current tier. Yes. 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 I'm trying to convince myself. I'm trying to convince myself that this is the correct way. For the current tier. Okay. 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 If we don't find it, we create one. And this is city tier category. City tier category percent consumption. So it is city tier category percent. The problem is that I have to do the same. You know, this block needs to be executed 6 times, one for each, right? One for each. But boys, can we do it with a loop? Because I don't want to copy this 6 times, right? I don't want to copy this text 6 times. I mean, it's absolutely impossible, right? We don't want to copy this 6 times. We don't want to. We don't want to. So how do we do it? So the variables that are changing in this mess is the tier, which actually corresponds to the the tier of that category, and then the category itself, right? So basically I have two values. So if I create an array of something, two values, if I create an array of a t pair and the t pair is int, and then we cycle on that array and we check if that exists, that would do it, right? That would do it, yes, but the t array of t pair is a bit annoying because actually is a t array of what? Of two integers, right? Where one is the category and the other is the tier. And anyway I have to fill this up, right? I have to fill this up anyway. I have to fill this up. So yeah, I can avoid 6 of this, true. But I need 6 of this. I need 6 of what? I need 6 of, if infrastructure is greater than 0, then we have to do cat tier add of a t pair of what? Of category 1 tier 1 seat infrastructure. What? I mean t-pair intent. Yes. Okay. So basically I need to do this 6 times. So what I need to do 6 times is this. And I have to go with the same sequence. So infrastructure, hospitality, whatever. Infrastructure, hospitality, crafting. Infrastructure, hospitality, crafting. Fate, education, agriculture. Fate, education, agriculture. And it is obviously 1, 2, 3, 4. No. 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so here we have our T array pair, blah blah blah. And so now we can do, instead of this, right? Instead of this, we can just loop on that thingy. We can just loop on that thingy. We can just loop on this and okay. And here we search what? And here we search city ID is good. Category is one element key, right? And tier is one element value. Okay. I think this is not bad. Okay, so basically at the end of this crazy piece of code, including the insert, we will basically normalize the situation, right? So we may decide that we want to start our city at oh my god. No. Fuck. I'm thinking that this is completely useless if we do it on update, right? Because when we... no, because we don't know what to... No, because we don't know what to decay, right? While here we know what to decay. Right? Shit. I think that... I mean, this is not bad because it is basically normalizing the database and the memory. Well, the memory not yet because the memory is done here. Right? The memory is done here. So basically this is normalizing the consumption entries. So it's resetting all the consumption entries and is restarting the consumption of all those, right, properly. But then what I'm thinking is that when I lower the value from 1 to whatever we have, I will have any way to insert in the database the updated value. And so in theory, when I do that, I could just insert on duplicate update and basically do the insert that I'm doing here. The only difference is that there I'm ticking by city. Wait a second. The only difference is that yeah, here I'm ticking only by the active resource consumable. So if I don't create them, I don't have them. The other way would be to tick by city. And if I tick by city, I can check all the categories and all their current tiers and decide if I have to consume or not. And if I consume, I can then do an insert into the database with the new consumption rate, which is basically normalizing the situation anyway, right? Fuck. Yes. Oh my god. Okay. Oh fuck. Shit. So if this is true, yeah, I think it is true. If this is true, this piece is useless. I will comment it 1 second. But if that is true, this piece is useless. We just have to load the current consume that we have in the database. Meh. I'm not loading the... I'm loading the full city. Okay. I did it there. Okay, it's done already, yeah. So basically... okay, so the original error... Well, there were two original errors that I did. So the first error was to change the design of the database compared to what I designed originally, right? Because this design was correct. I decided to compress it in 1 line per city and then generated the first mistake. Then the second mistake that I did was that I decided that the consume resources is only checking the consumption entries, assuming that the new entry is created as soon as we reach this tier. This thing is a problem because this basically assumes that somehow magically, right? Magically, we have consumptions entry already running for all the tiers of our cities. And that's not true because the loading is very simple and anyway it can change at any time, right? So I think it's way easier, consider that everything is in memory anyway, right? To actually check all the cities. So this thing should not iterate by resource consumed by city, but it should iterate by city. Right? I'm not fully convinced yet, but anyway, let's assume that we iterate by city, right? We iterate by city. So we have one city of our cities, right? And we iterate this thing. Right? And oh shit, all the time this thing, come on. I did it 1,000,000 times. No, I didn't. Yeah, I did it, yeah. So we iterate by city. Yes. We iterate by city. What do we have to check? We have to check the current tier. Yeah, we only have to check the current tier. Absolutely. We only have to check the current tier. Because the previous tier, or it already exists in the database, or we don't care about it because we don't have to consume it, right? Exactly. Absolutely. Right? So basically I have to do this there. This piece of code that I wrote here, I have to do it there. So I have to take all my current infrastructure. Yeah, exactly. Put it in for every city, put it in an array, and then, or at least we reuse this code, right? That we wrote. And then I have to cycle on that. I have to see if I already have a consumption thing. And if I have it, I consume it going down by 1. If I don't have it, I create a new one. And I also store it in the database. And so the next cycle will be correct. Yes. So I think that all this code actually is good. It's just in the wrong place. So let me see what we do here. So basically here we collect all the levels or all the current tiers to consume, right? This is what we do. We collect all the current tiers to consume by category, right? By category. We collect all the current tiers to consume by category, right? So we have them all here. So my T pair, right? We said that is category tier, right? And we have to do. I mean, obviously these are all wrong, by the way. Okay, now they are all correct. So we do this. And we collect all the current tiers. So all those tiers needs to decay. Or consume. Right? So here we consume. So we take for each of those tiers that are greater than 0, we go here, and the first thing that we do, we search if we already have an entry. And the entry, we search it in our resource consumption thingy. Now, do we do it this way or I think so. Because do we have a way to extract directly? No. And anyway, it's very few entries, so it would be like 4 items, 5 items. So it's very fast. It's very fast. So is very fast. So we So we search. What? Why doesn't like it? One city. Yeah. Why is complaining? What is going on? Because you don't get keys by... No, wait a second. I don't remember how this thing is. Because now... wait a second. Oh my god, it's a multi-map now. Yeah, correct. Yeah, because this is not anymore city ID resource consumption. No. I mean, we can use a multi-map. We can use a multi-map if we want. Do you want to use a multi-map? Multi-map exists. Multi-map is basically something that can be one-to-many. Right? It can be one-to-many. Yeah, I think I wanted one-to-many. I think I wanted one-to-many. Yes, I wanted one-to-many. Yes. Now, can we do it? Can you do a multi-map of a multi-map so that we also have the tiers? Well, no, I think it's too much hassle. I think it's fine. We can do it this way. Yeah, we can do it this way. I think with a multi-map may work. So, how do I get the keys? How do I get? No, I think I have to find. No. So this will return, but this will return a T array, I assume. No? Yeah, for sure. This should return. Huh? No? Sorry, how do you find in a multi-map? I think we use multi-maps already. 1 second. I think I used multi-map. I think so. Yeah, for example here, right? Multi-map int skill info. Skill info category hash. Multi-map NPC response. Player trap detected. Okay, this is something that I did more recently, so I'm more... character actor. Okay. So how do I find? I do find pair. Remove single, remove... No, but what do you mean find pair? Huh? No, I don't want to find pair. I want to find. What? Huh? Wait a second. Wait a second. I don't know how to do the thingy. It should be only find, maybe? TRA initialize. So I would like to know what this returns, right? What does this return if I do find? Is there a multi-find? Ah, there is a multi-find. Fuck it. Okay, multi-find. But I want to multi-find only the key, eh? I don't want to multi-find my... multi-find, I think it works in a different way. Multi-find finds all value associated with a specified key. Yeah, exactly. 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 Ah, okay. He wants it this way. Okay, so he wants it this way. Okay, yes, he does it this way. Okay, it's multi-find. It's multi-find. Let me see if I already used multi-find. Yeah, I already used multi-find. I just forgot about it, but... should be okay. Hello, Yoko. We are deep into something that is very evil, but we will win. At the end, we will win. You know, we always win. So, well, there are a few things that we didn't win, but they are very, very rare. Like, for example, NPC that cannot move in dungeons, right? And generated dungeons. That is something that we didn't win. I mean, that one, unfortunately, the engine won. But okay. I need something to drink. 1 second. Ah, I have it here. Easy. Easy. Okay, much better. So, okay, so we search if you already have an entry, right? And I do this multi-find, right? This multi-find, exactly. So this will find all the resources. Okay, fine. So now I have to... Now I have to do what? Now I have to check if this consume is already the right consume, right? And if it is, yeah, sorry, I'm thinking forward a bit. I'm trying to think forward to understand if what I'm doing is correct. But yeah, so we check if this one consume, right? Should have everything the same. So should have city. Well, city we already extracted by city. So this is correct. I mean, you should even avoid checking it, right? So it must be by city. So this one consume should have the category equal to what? Equal to one element key, and should have the tier equal to one element value. Okay, so if this is the case, we can break, because we only need one, right? There is only one per exactly. And so what we will do, we will update this entry, right? We will update this entry. We will update this entry. So we do what? We do one consume dot consumption equal to consume amount, right? And then one second. So we also have to downgrade it to downgrade on the database, though. I don't know. Were we doing this or no? Yes, we were doing it here, but it is all broken. I mean, it's not this anymore. It's not this anymore. That is not reasonable. So if it's greater than 0, it has to decay, right? It needs to be consumed. Yes, it must. So this is correct in any case. And so I have to consume, right? I have to consume. And then after I did that, I also need to update my database, right? Right? So we will do insert into city consume status. Insert into city consume status, and we will insert values directly, right? And we will insert we don't have a key. No! So we cannot do on duplicate. Oh fuck. What do you mean we don't have a key? We can have a key. Why I said we cannot have a key? For sure city, tier and category cannot be double, right? Cannot be the same value twice. Yeah, exactly. We have a key for sure. Why I said no before? I don't know. I was smoking something. I was smoking something. I mean, for sure, if the city, the tier, and the category cannot be the same value twice, right? Hello? Okay. Right? They cannot. So this is our triplet. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So we have percentage D, percentage D, percentage D, percentage F, and then we have percentage F again, right? Because on update we update only that, right? Consumption. How did we call this thing? Yeah, consumption. Okay. We are not too far, boys, eh? We are not too far. We are not too far. We are not too far. I thought it was worst, but we are not too far. Okay. So here the values are... Here the values are CT. CT, do we have CT ID somewhere? No. We have one CT though, and we can get his ID. Okay. We have CT, we have tier, and tier we have it. We have it in one consume as well. And then we have one consume category. And then we have the percent, which is this now, right? Yeah, is this. It is the new percent. It is the new percent. It is the new percent. Sorry, this is wrong. Okay. Okay, it's not bad. I think it is not bad. Okay, so here we update the database, right? We update the memory, we update the database, and then we check if we have to downgrade the city. And after we found it, after we found this, we break from this 4 because we found the entry and it's only one entry, right? So yes, exactly. We check if we downgrade and if we downgrade. Now if we don't find it, yeah, because the problem is that if we don't find it, yeah, in this case we were doing the insert, but actually here we are smarter. We do an insert duplicate on key update, so this is already doing what we want, right? It is already doing what we want. But yeah, if we don't find it, we have to create a new. We have to create a new in memory, right? Because here we update in memory, we create or update on the database, but we have to create a new in memory. And actually, maybe it's better to split it because otherwise it will look weird, right? So the one is done above and one is done below. Yeah, maybe, guys. Maybe. I think it is safer. This insert with the duplicate is on duplicate is safer. So in theory, if the entry is not found, right, we have to create one in memory. So, but the problem is that do we still have our one consume or not? No, we don't, because we are out of this 4. Well, but we are still inside of this. So if we don't, wait a second. If we don't find it, right? If we don't find it, what do we have to do? If we don't find it, we have to add, right? A new FPS resource consumed. So we have to create a new one, right? Yes. Okay, GG. Come on! Fuck it. I did all the things wrong. So this one, do we have a constructor for this? No, because it was too long, but now it's not long anymore, right? Now it's not long anymore. I removed it because it was like crazy, but now it's not crazy anymore because this is exactly, yeah, this is exactly the one that we had at the beginning. And then I decided to remove it, which is city, category, tier, and consumption. Consumption. Yep. So this thing is called city category, and this thing is called consumption. It doesn't work here because actually we define this as an APS category and not as an int, which anyway I think is a better idea. Because it's less confusing, I assume. You know what? I think we can define it as none in the beginning. But now things will change a bit, right? So now it will probably complain, yeah. It will complain on a number of things, including this, no. This, yes. Oh, fuck. Yeah, it's better though, because otherwise we mess up, right? Otherwise we mess up. Let's do it properly with our thingies, so that is, because having these numbers is pretty stupid. We don't want numbers. We want enumerations, right? We don't want numbers. Education, agriculture. Okay. Yeah, that's better. That's definitely better. Definitely better. I like it way more. Okay. I mean, the only point that this should be forced to an int, huh? Right? Yeah. Okay. So we were saying what? We were saying that we add a new, yeah, exactly, a new city resource consume, and now we have the constructor. So the city is my one city. The category is my one element key. My tier is my category, my one element value, and the percent will be 1, because we always start from 1, right? Okay. Doesn't like it. He doesn't like it because this is mapping city and resource, right? So I need to do my one city. No, my one city ID, right? ID. Okay. Okay. Okay, I think we pretty much have it, boys. It's nearly done now. It's a bit late, so I don't know if we can test it, but I think that the code is there. So now this can be deleted because we do it above, right? So all of this is not a thing anymore. Let me just comment it 1 second because I'm not sure what is all of this, but I don't think I need it anymore because this was the one that we were creating before, so it's still using the old system, the old percentages, 6 percentages, a single table. So let me try to compile. Let's compile and see what it says. But so basically now when we are consuming, we are scanning all the cities and we are checking the current tiers that have to be consumed, which is here. We start the consume, we check if we already have an entry in memory, which is actually keeping the proper percent of consumption. If yes, we use that one. We update the database. We check if we have to downgrade the city based on the consumption. If we downgrade, this is the only place where we downgrade, or yeah, this is the only place where we downgrade actually. Wait a second. Why infrastructure? What? No, not infrastructure. This should be one consume category, right? Exactly. Because this is running for all the categories that we have. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's good now. So we basically load it. I mean, we load only what we have in the database. We update everything that needs updating in memory, and we also write in database, and we check for the downgrade of tier. Now, I think the downgrade of tier will have to change probably what we consume. Yeah. So the downgrade of tier now will have to do a bit more work because you will have to delete the tier 2 entry. Because here we don't delete, right? Here we don't delete. So in theory, if the entry is 0, this is wrong. Huh? What do you mean? So if I have an entry in the consumption, right, which is actually 0, we have to remove it because we are downgrading to the next, right? We are downgrading to the next tier, to the lower tier, and so we have to What is this thing? Get city consume percent. Return the current percent of consumption of the previous tier. What? Of the previous tier? Where is this used? Get a percent consumption of the previous tier, if any. If tier... Yeah, I mean, previous tier in reality means current tier, right? I mean, Prev compared to the one that I'm working on, but is the current evolution tier. If tier is greater than 1, yeah, exactly. If tier is greater than 1, yeah, but I'm reading the current one. I don't know why it's called previous, but fine. Previous is a bit weird. I mean, it's not the previous tier, it's the current. Well, why we call it previous? Current tier of the achieved tier. The one that we have achieved, the one that we have completed. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And now, how do we get this? How the hell do we get this? We have to get the current tier by category. Get city tier in category, yes. Where, bro, can we have the city and not the city ID? FPS city info. One city. Because this one is taking one city, right? Yes. So this one is getting the current tier. Okay. This one is getting the current tier. Now we need to find... now we need to find the... multi-find. So we have to do the same. We have to do... yes. And then inside of this, right? And then inside of this, I mean, we did it already. No, we didn't. I mean, I'm sure we did, because we did it a second ago. We called it consumer entry, but it's basically the same. So yeah. So it's basically the same as that. So we need to find the current consume percent, right? Yeah. So we need to tier consume multi city fund. City consume, one consume entry. Let me call it the same so we have a similar code. Okay. So what do we return if we don't find it? Good question. In theory, we should always find it, right? If we don't find it, I think we just return 0. I mean, in theory, we should always find it, but I don't know. What is going on here? Yeah. We were returning 1. Why we are returning 1 if we don't find it? We were returning 1. So we were saying if I don't find the percent, I assume that I have to consume it. Okay. I'm not completely convinced about that, but fine. I'm not really convinced. At 23, 29 is exactly what you still have 1 second. But this thing is more complex and yeah. At least I want to see it compiling, right? But I really need to go now. But at least I want to see it compile. We can do 1 run. Then I can just jump into the bed like instantly. We can do, but I think that now the logic is good. So we kept the original design. We have 1 entry in the database by tier, by category, by city. We keep it in memory properly. We read it properly. So we keep the previous tier. So basically this case, right? This case now is taken into account, right? This case is taken into account. City ID. Come on, don't we have the city here? City ID. I never extract the city. Fuck. Okay, fine. Get city by ID. City ID. I can just put it there. GG. Yeah, I can just put it in 1 line. It's fine. Okay. Yeah, I would like to see it running, but I'm really finishing the time. I think I will probably go because testing this will require a bit of time. I have to create the proper values in the database, you know, check everything, go in game. I mean, it will take another 20 minutes, I think. But yeah, at least it compiles, right? It compiles. So I think we are good for tonight, guys. We can continue tomorrow. I think we made very good progress. We had a bit of a back and forth, but I think it was for the best, right? It was for to actually change the design of the code in a better way. Now we still have to see if it works, but basically what this should do is to resolve the problem that we saw yesterday, that the consumption was not working properly, right? So now the consumption should work. So I will rename the stream as city material consumption, right? Because we didn't manage to do what I wanted to do because we started to do something else. City resource consumption. Yeah, I will rename it. Okay, guys, have a good night and see you tomorrow. We are pushing through this. Hopefully, we will complete it, and hopefully, will be a feature that is interesting to be used in the game. Let's see. So with that, bye bye. See you tomorrow. And if you want to click on follow on Twitch and subscribe on YouTube, do it. Also remember that our game is actually released. So if you want to try it, the server is up. You can connect. You can go to our download page and is available for Windows, Linux, and Mac. And also remember that if you want, you can contribute and help me build the game, right? You can. You can. Bye bye.